AITA for telling my friend that his girlfriend cheated on him. I used to work at this small diner in town, and there was this girl I worked with named Elle. She was 19, I was 25, and we got along pretty well. Elle was dating this older guy, T, who was 32. On the surface, they seemed like this weirdly cute but mismatched couple. Young girl, older guy, totally different vibes, but somehow they made it work. Over time, the three of us got kind of friendly. T would sometimes stop by the diner, hang out at the counter while Elle was finishing her shift, that kind of thing. Nothing dramatic, nothing suspicious. Just a normal small-town setup where everyone sort of knew each other. But after a few months, Elle and I started hanging out more outside of work. She liked to vent about life, about T, about everything really. At first, it was little things. She complained that he was tired all the time, that he never wanted to go out late, that he'd rather have quiet nights at home instead of doing anything exciting. She said it like it was annoying, but no big deal. But then she started staying out later, hanging out with her own friends more, and not really rushing home to him. That's when she met another guy. He was her age, maybe 20 or so, and they hit it off fast, like too fast. Suddenly she was texting him all the time, hanging out with him almost every other day. She made a point to tell me that T didn't know about any of this, and that I shouldn't say anything. She laughed it off like it was harmless, but I felt weird about the whole thing. I didn't say a word though. I figured it wasn't my business, and that they'd sort their drama out eventually. One night she came over to my place to hang out, and she casually mentioned that she had left T for good. She wasn't upset about it. In fact, she seemed relieved, almost like a weight was off her shoulders. She smiled when she said it, like it was no big deal. And I remember feeling bad for T in that moment, because he really seemed like he cared about her. Fast forward a couple of months. I had quit the diner and was working at a grocery store in town when T walked in one day. We made small talk while he was checking out, and then he said it. He said, "I think Elle was seeing someone else when we were still together." He didn't sound angry, just kind of resigned, like he'd already figured it out. And in that moment, I couldn't lie. He deserved the truth. I told him, "I can't say everything for sure, but I do know she spent a lot of time with her when you two were still together. They were way closer than just friends." He just gave this little nod and said, "I figured as much," and then he left. A few days later, I got this angry message from Elle. She was pissed. She said I should have kept quiet. She said, "I'm not ending the friendship, but next time you should stay out of things that don't involve you." But after that, she pretty much ghosted me. She stopped replying to my messages, barely said hi when we saw each other around town, and even managed to get a mutual friend of ours to stop talking to me too. That part stung more than I expected. I haven't spoken to Elle or that friend since, but every now and then I still see T when he comes into the store. We say hello. It's polite, simple, like none of that drama ever happened. But every time I see him, I can't help but think about how weird and messy the whole thing got over something that wasn't even my business in the first place. So, ATA for being honest with him. Story 2. AITA for feeling weird that my boyfriend plans to take me to Denny's for our 1-year anniversary. I'm using this account because my main is followed by my boyfriend, and I don't want him to see this. So here's the deal. I'm 23, he's 25, and we've been together for almost a year now. The anniversary is coming up soon, and a couple of days ago, I thought I'd bring up some ideas for what we could do. Nothing crazy or fancy. I just wanted to plan ahead a little, make sure we were on the same page. His big idea? Dinner at Denny's. And listen, I care about this guy. I really do. He's taken me out on nice dates before, and I've appreciated every single one of them. It's not like I expect him to drop a ton of money or make this some over-the-top event. But here's the thing. I've told him before that I'm not really into Denny's. The pancakes are fine, the food is okay, but it's just not my favorite place to eat. It feels like the kind of spot you go to after a late night out with friends, or when you just want something cheap and fast. Not somewhere I'd pick for something like our 1-year anniversary. I thought maybe for this one night we could go somewhere a little different. Somewhere that feels a bit more special. Not super expensive or fancy, just something with a little atmosphere. A place that makes the evening feel like it actually means something. So I gently suggested that. I wasn't rude about it. I just asked if we could maybe pick a different place this time. And he didn't take it well. He went really quiet. His replies got short. Stuff like, "Fine," and "Whatever you want." And since then he's barely said anything whenever I try to bring it up again. Like I somehow hurt his feelings or made him mad just by asking for something a little different. And now I feel bad. Really bad. Like I'm being difficult or ungrateful. Like maybe I should just smile and go to Denny's and not make a fuss about it. But part of me keeps thinking, is it really so wrong to want something a little extra for our first anniversary? Just this once? Something that feels like he actually thought about it and wanted to make it special? I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big a deal out of this. But I can't shake the feeling that maybe it's okay to want a little more. Just this one time. So, AITA for being kind of upset over this? Story 3. AITA for feeling off when my girlfriend asked me for money after our weekend trip. I'm a 35-year-old guy, and I've been dating this woman, she's 34, for about 4 months now. We met through an app, and everything so far has been pretty smooth, no drama, no weird red flags. I've met her parents, she's met mine, and we've even hung out with each other's friends a few times. It feels like a real, growing relationship. Lately, we've even started throwing around the idea of maybe moving in together by the end of the year. Honestly, I've felt good about us. She shows that she cares in little ways, and I care about her too. But this past weekend, something happened that left me feeling, I don't know, just weird inside. It's been stuck in my head, and I can't really shake it. I make decent money, not rich or anything, but enough that paying for dates or groceries or dinners here, and there isn't a big deal. Nothing over the top, not some crazy lavish spending, just normal couple stuff. She makes a little less than me, but she's got a stable job and she's not broke or struggling. I never really thought about who pays what exactly. Like when I pick up dinner or snacks or coffee or whatever, I just figured that's what you do when you care about someone. You don't keep tabs on every little thing. So this weekend, we went on a short trip to a nearby town for her friend's baby celebration. She bought the train tickets ahead of time, and I sent her the money for my part right away through my phone. No issue there. It made sense. She also paid for some luggage lockers at the station. It was like €6, and for a shared baby gift, €27 each. I didn't transfer that money immediately because in my head I figured I'd probably grab the dinner bill later, and it would all even out like it always does. At the restaurant that night, I paid for everything. It was about €60, and I didn't even think twice about it. Later on, when she said she was thirsty while we were walking around, I bought her a water bottle. Again, no big deal to me. Just normal couple stuff. Taking care of each other. Not splitting hairs over every tiny expense. But then today, she messaged me very politely, not rude or anything, and reminded me that I still owed her €33 for the lockers and the baby gift. I read the message twice. I felt weird. Like, really? After I just covered dinner and snacks and drinks and stuff without asking her for anything back? It just hit me strange. Like she was carefully keeping track of every cent, and I wasn't. I didn't say anything. I just sent the money right away. But ever since then, there's been this strange taste in my mouth about it. I don't even think she meant it in a bad way. Maybe she didn't realize how that message came across to me. Maybe in her mind, it was just staying even and clear. But now I'm stuck wondering, do I bring this up? Do I tell her that it made me feel weird? Or do I just let it go because on paper it really is such a small thing? I like her. I like what we have. I don't want to blow this tiny awkward moment into something bigger than it should be. But at the same time, it bothered me. And I don't really know why. Maybe because I thought we were past this sort of nickel-and-diming? Or maybe because it makes me wonder how she looks at money and fairness and relationships in general. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much out of nothing. But I can't stop thinking about it. So, AITA for feeling upset about this? Story 4. AITA for constantly clashing with my dad? I'm an 18-year-old guy, and my dad is 51, and for as long as I can remember, we just don't see eye to eye on much of anything. Every time we try to have a serious conversation, it feels like it turns into some kind of argument. It's like we speak completely different languages. He talks bluntly, straight to the point, no filter, no softening his words at all, like he doesn't even care how they land or how they make me feel. And me? I get frustrated fast, really fast. It's hard for me to stay calm once something sets me off, and yeah, some of that's probably ADHD, but it's also just how our relationship has always been. The pattern is built in by now. The usual fights? Oh man, they're almost always the same. He tells me I waste time, that I'm not serious about driving practice, that I make excuses for not finishing things I start, or he's yelling at some customer service person on the phone while I sit there cringing, wishing I could disappear, or he says something completely insensitive without even realizing how harsh it sounds, and when I call him out on it, he acts like I'm the one overreacting, like I'm the problem for caring too much. We used to fight every single day. No joke. Now we've worked it down to once or twice a week. So I guess that's progress if you want to call it that. I don't get as mad in the moment as I used to, or at least I try not to. But when the fight's over, that's when the guilt hits. Every single time. I sit there thinking, who am I to get angry? What right do I have to be this upset when my life is actually pretty good? I have a roof over my head, parents who care, no huge trauma, no big drama, no real suffering like some people deal with every day. I have food, safety, comfort, things that so many people would give anything for. And yet, even knowing all that, even telling myself that over and over again, I still feel like I have a reason to stand up for myself. I believe what I said in those fights was fair. Just because my life is good overall doesn't mean the things that bother me suddenly don't matter. But no matter how right I feel in the moment, the guilt always sticks around afterward like this shadow I can't shake off. The weirdest part? Neither of us ever apologizes. Not him, not me. We just let it hang there in the air and pretend like it never happened. The next day comes and it's like the fight never existed. We go right back to normal, whatever that is. My mom's told me a few times that he actually does think about these fights later, that he even talks to her about them when I'm not around. I wanted to believe her. So once, I straight up asked him if he ever thought about the things I said, if he ever reflected on it later, and he just looked me right in the eyes and said, "No, why would I?" Like it was the most obvious answer in the world. So, AITA for feeling frustrated with him, even when I know I have it better than most. Before we move on to the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, tell us your favorite story in the comments, and if you have your own story to share, let us know down there too. Story 5. AITA for not wanting my kids to hang out with a relative's child? I have 2 little kids. My oldest is almost 3 years old, and the baby just turned 11 months. One of my close family members also has a toddler, pretty much the same age as my older son. You'd think this would be perfect, right? Like the kids could play together and keep each other entertained while the adults relaxed and caught up. But I just can't bring myself to let that happen. See, they live way out in the country on this small farm. On paper that sounds cute, like some kind of wholesome, natural childhood experience. But the reality makes my skin crawl. They let their kid do whatever he wants around the animals. I've seen it with my own eyes. Their little boy running barefoot through the chicken pen like it's no big deal, splashing around in puddles that are clearly full of mud and probably a lot worse. And when I say worse, I mean stuff you really don't want to think about. Animal poop, bacteria, God knows what else. There was even a day when their kid showed up with straw stuck all over his clothes and what looked suspiciously like bird droppings smeared on his hands. And his parents just laughed it off, said stuff like, "It's good for his immune system," and waved it away like none of this was remotely concerning. I try not to be that judgmental mom. I really do. I tell myself to chill out, to not be that person who freaks out over a little dirt. But I can't ignore it. I can't pretend it's fine when everything inside me is screaming that it's not. Like that time we were all at a relative's house for a get-together. They showed up and I immediately felt my whole body go tense. I kept my boys close the whole time. Every time the cousin toddled over with a toy or tried to touch something my kids were playing with, I gently steered them away. I didn't want their hands on the same things. I didn't want their mouths on the same toys. I felt cold doing that. I felt like maybe I was being dramatic, maybe even rude, but I just couldn't help it. It's not like I don't know my own issues. I've dealt with contamination anxiety for a while now. Therapy, practice, all of it. And honestly, I've gotten so much better over the years, but this feels different. This feels like real hygiene, like real health risk. Not just anxiety whispering in my ear, but actual common sense screaming to be heard. Still, I feel guilty because I care about my family. I don't want to insult them or make them feel like I think they're bad parents. I know they love their son and they're doing what they think is best for him, but I can't shake this fear that if I let my guard down, my kids could get sick because of it, and that's a risk I'm just not willing to take. So, AITA for keeping my kids away? Story 6. AITA for feeling upset that my girlfriend shares everything with her sister? I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I've been dating my girlfriend, who's 26, for about 7 months now. Honestly, things have been great between us. We barely argue, and when we do, it's over little stuff that blows over pretty quickly. I felt like we had built a good amount of trust, like we really understood each other. I was even planning to propose to her soon. I wanted it to be a perfect moment, something really special, so I secretly reached out to her sister to help me set everything up. I bought the ring, picked the spot, planned for it to happen during this family trip we're taking out of town next weekend. The idea was that her sister would help keep her distracted while I had a quiet talk with her parents to ask for their blessing. Everything was lining up the way I imagined. But then yesterday, something happened that's been sitting heavy on me ever since. My girlfriend left her phone unlocked near me, and I'll admit it, I got curious. I know her passcode because we've always shared them. No big deal. I wasn't planning to snoop, but the temptation got the best of me, and I looked at her messages. That's when I saw that her sister had told her everything. Everything. The ring, the plan, the proposal, even the part where I wanted to talk to her parents first. All the stuff I'd shared with her sister in confidence, trying to make this moment perfect, was laid out right there. But that wasn't the worst part. Her sister also sent her screenshots of private conversations I'd had with her, stuff I'd opened up about, personal things I thought stayed just between me and my girlfriend. Things like my worries about my job, how I sometimes feel like I'll never measure up to her family's money, my fears that maybe I'm not good enough in their eyes. Her sister called me insecure, said I was trying too hard, even made a joke about how I'd never reach her dad's level of success. I just sat there staring at the screen, feeling this awful sinking feeling in my chest. I never thought my girlfriend would share that kind of stuff with anyone, let alone her sister. It felt like all the personal, vulnerable parts of our relationship, the parts one trusted her with, had just turned into family gossip. Now I don't know what to think. I haven't said a word about it yet, but it's weighing on me more than I can explain. I feel betrayed, honestly. Like this little bubble I thought we had, where we could be honest and safe with each other, wasn't real, and I have no idea what to do next. So, AITA for being upset that she can't seem to keep what we share just between us? Story 7. AITA for unfriending someone after we finished school? There was this girl in high school who I'll call Emily. We used to hang out pretty regularly back then, part of the same group. But after we graduated, things started to change. One day, Emily noticed that I had removed her from some of my social media accounts, and she asked me why I did it. I wasn't going to lie or make up some excuse, so I just told her straight up the reason. After that conversation, things got weird. For weeks, maybe even months, Emily kept ditching me and the rest of my group for other friends. It wasn't just a one-time thing or occasional, it was consistent. She would avoid our plans or disappear without explanation and hang out with other people instead. I even started hearing through the grapevine that she had been calling us embarrassing to be around. When I heard that, honestly, it stung. It made me question why I was even keeping her around. Of course, at first, I just brushed it off and tried not to take it personally, but deep down it hurt knowing she didn't think highly of us anymore. Still, I didn't want to cause any drama. We were all about to face important exams, and the last thing I wanted was a fight or awkward tension in the group. So I kept quiet and avoided confronting her again, hoping things might improve or at least stay civil until school ended. But once graduation was over, my patience ran out. I realized that Emily treated us like a backup plan. She only hung out with us when her other friends weren't available or when she had nowhere else to go. Sometimes she would show up, sit quietly without really engaging with anyone, and then leave as soon as her preferred friends arrived. It was like we were just there to fill the time, not actual friends to her. Then I found out she had been gossiping about us behind our backs, sharing things we said or did in confidence and twisting the story to make us look bad. That was the last straw for me. I get that people can have different groups of friends and it's normal to change social circles, but the way she disappeared for days at a time, avoided us, and then acted like nothing happened when she returned was disrespectful. It felt like she didn't value the friendship at all and was just using us when it suited her. Looking back, I'm glad I finally stepped away because friendships are supposed to be about respect and trust, not feeling like a backup option or someone's secret topic for gossip. So, am I ID here? Story 8. AITA for throwing my 35th birthday party the same day we're burying my grandmother? Alright, the title might sound harsh, but please hear me out because this is something I've been thinking a lot about. About a year ago, my grandma, who was 93 years old, moved into a care home. She had been dealing with a lot of health problems for years, and honestly, we all knew it was only a matter of time before she wouldn't be with us anymore. Over the past year, there were several moments when it seemed like she might pass away, moments that left the whole family on edge, waiting for the worst, but somehow she kept holding on, surprising everyone by hanging in there despite everything. This morning, though, she finally passed peacefully, and it hit me hard. I'm going to be turning 35 years old very soon. When I think back to my 30th birthday, it was a total disaster because of COVID. Everything was shut down, plans got canceled, and I spent most of the day feeling disappointed. So this time around, my partner really wanted to make it special. They had been secretly planning a surprise party for me for over a month. I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, but I could tell something was up because they were acting a little extra excited and busy. I was really looking forward to finally having a proper celebration with friends and family. Unfortunately, the original venue we booked fell through at the last minute. It was a big blow because we had already sent out invitations and people were making arrangements to be there. We had to scramble to find a new place on very short notice. Eventually, we managed to book another venue, but we had to put down a non-refundable deposit to secure it. We invited around 20 people, some of whom had even taken time off work to come celebrate with me, which meant a lot. The twist is that the funeral and burial for my grandma are scheduled for the morning of my birthday. This timing was set to accommodate family members who were flying in from far away, so everyone could be together to say their goodbyes. The wake is planned to start right after the burial and is expected to run into the afternoon. My surprise party is set for that same evening at 8:15 p.m. This means I will have to leave the wake early to get ready for the celebration. I know some people might think it's insensitive or disrespectful to have a party on the same day as a funeral for a close family member, but to me, it feels like a way to honor life after saying goodbye. My grandma lived a long, full life, and while we mourn her passing, I also want to remember the joy and love she brought to us. The party isn't about ignoring the loss, but about celebrating the time we had with her and the connections we still have with each other. It's a way to find some light in a difficult day, to bring people together not just to grieve, but also to support and uplift one another. I'm still sorting through all the emotions, and I know it won't be easy, but having this celebration plan feels like a necessary step for me to move forward while keeping my grandma's memory alive in a positive way. So yes, it might sound unusual, but for me, this combination of saying goodbye and celebrating life on the same day feels right. So, AITA for going ahead with my birthday plans even though my grandma's funeral is that morning? Story 9. AITA for reporting a crying baby at work to HR? I've been thinking a lot about something that happened at my office, and honestly, I'm second-guessing how I handled it. So here's the situation. There's this person who works in the same building but a different department, and for some reason, they've been bringing their little kid to work with them. It's a baby, so of course the kid cries and fusses sometimes, just like babies do. But the problem is the parent leaves their office door wide open all day, and the crying turns into this loud, constant noise that just echoes down the hallway and bounces off every wall. It's honestly pretty distracting. I try really hard to focus on my work, but with that kind of background noise, it's nearly impossible to get anything done. I usually keep my own office door open about half the time because I like to be approachable and friendly, but with the baby crying so loudly nearby, I started shutting my door more often just to get some peace. I don't really know this person that well since we work in different departments and don't interact much, so I wasn't sure how to bring it up without causing tension. Our office environment is pretty sensitive. People tend to get defensive quickly, and I really didn't want to create any drama or make anyone feel uncomfortable by confronting them directly. So instead of saying something in person, I decided to send a polite email to HR explaining the situation and asking if they could maybe talk to her quietly and suggest she close the door when her baby is there. I thought maybe the parent had some kind of official permission or accommodation to bring their child to work, and I wanted to respect that if it was the case. But after sending the email, I started wondering if it was even allowed at all to have a baby in the office. Now I'm worried that maybe I came off as snitching or being petty. I feel kind of awkward about the whole thing and uncertain if I should have just handled it myself instead of going through HR. When HR got back to me, they said I did the right thing and that this kind of issue is their responsibility to handle, not mine. That helped a little, but I still can't shake this feeling that maybe I overstepped or should have found a way to deal with it more directly. It's just tough because I want to be understanding. Babies cry. That's normal, but I also need to be able to work without constant noise making it impossible to focus. I'm stuck between wanting to be considerate and needing some peace at work, and honestly, it's left me feeling kind of stressed about how to approach similar situations in the future. So, AITA for going to HR instead of addressing it directly? Story 10. AITA for finally losing it on my ex who won't stop bothering me. I'm 18 and my first serious girlfriend was also 18. We were together for almost 2 years, but honestly, looking back, it was really a toxic and draining relationship. Even though I cared for her deeply, we just couldn't make it work. By February, it became clear we were holding each other back and unable to meet each other's needs anymore, so we broke up. That should have been the end of it, but the problem is we go to the same school and she refuses to back off. At first, it was little things that I tried to brush off, but over time they piled up and made everything worse. She chooses to sit right next to me even though there are plenty of other seats available. It's like she wants to be close, but doesn't actually talk to me. Sometimes she just stares at me and laughs for no reason, like she's trying to get a reaction out of me. Then she started talking about me to my friends, the same friends she doesn't even really like or get along with. It was confusing and made me uncomfortable. Then last week, things crossed a line when she actually sat down to play cards with my friends. It was obvious she was trying to get involved in my social circle, and honestly, it felt invasive. I tried to ignore it because as long as she wasn't directly causing drama or talking to me, I thought I could handle it. I just wanted to keep my distance and move on with my life. I have 2 close friends. Let's call them Jay and Kay. One morning I brought Kay breakfast and told them where Jay and I would be if they wanted to join. Jay and I moved to another spot to hang out and get away from everything. But then my ex suddenly came over and flipped out on me for leaving Kay alone. It was totally unnecessary because I checked with Kay and they said there was no problem at all. They hadn't even spoken to my ex. That moment was the breaking point for me. I couldn't keep letting her control parts of my life or guilt me into things that weren't true. So I told her straight up that she needs to stop meddling in my life, leave me alone, and keep her distance. I wanted peace, and I wanted to be left alone to heal. People say I went too far and was harsh, but honestly, after months of ignoring her and trying to keep the peace, I think wanting peace is completely reasonable. You can't push someone over and over again and then act like the victim when they finally stand up for themselves. What's been even worse is that rumors started spreading that I threatened her, and the worst part is that those rumors are coming from someone I thought was a friend. That hurt more than anything. I would never harm someone I cared about, even if things didn't work out between us. That's just not who I am. Maybe I did overreact after that moment? I'm honestly not sure. All I know is I'm exhausted and just want to move on with my life without all this drama hanging over me. AITA, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us your favorite story in the comments, and feel free to share your own story too.